Hi, this is Matt Carberry from Ridgeline Financial Partners. Thanks for joining us. This is our October podcast, Matt on Money, as we like to call it. And this month, we're going to focus on a topic that a lot of our clients fall into this particular category, and that is the closely held business owner, the family-based business, or the sole proprietor. And there are a lot of different challenges that a business owner faces that the average individual doesn't. And there's too many to number, but a couple of those that come to mind are having to invest back in your business, making payroll, covering insurance costs, determining where to operate your businesses, lease arrangements, and potential for liability. So most business owners face a lot of those same risks, and we focus a lot of our attention on trying to help our business owners better understand those risks and to make sure that they're running their business as efficiently as possible. So what I hope to get out today are three different separate areas. Firstly, what are the challenges that business owners face, whether you are self-employed, whether you're in a partnership, or whether you work within a family business. Secondly, the opportunities that business owners have that they may not be aware of when it comes to saving for retirement or taking advantage of some of the tax efficiencies of the type of business structure that you're in. And then thirdly, some of the considerations as the business starts to mature and you're thinking about an exit or a liquidity event. There's a lot that goes into that. So we'll touch upon those three areas up next. Okay, let's first start with the challenges that businesses face. And this is across various different sectors and industries, but it's where is the next revenue source going to come from? How are you going to meet your obligations of running the business, which can be payroll, insurance, and all the other different areas that we alluded to prior? Being in business is not easy, and if you look at the statistics, all too often most businesses don't ever get to that third generation, statistically speaking. So how can you ensure that if you're in the family business owner structure, that business can get to that next generation? Secondly, if you're not in a family-based business and maybe you're in a partnership, what things can you do to protect yourself and your partnership interest in the event of various different life events that we all too often don't think about? And if you're a sole proprietor, you're the person that's responsible for driving revenue growth and bringing new business to the firm. What happens in the event that, again, a life event occurs and you're not necessarily prepared for it? So a couple of areas that we like to focus our attention on are what I refer to as the 4 Ds. Now, again, whether you are in family business, you are in a partnership, or you are self-employed, those 4 Ds are death, divorce, disability, or I call it disenchantment, where a partner or business owner for some reason no longer wants to be a part of that. All too often, the legal documents that we review for clients, most typically a buy-sell agreement or an operating agreement, will touch upon those 4 different D words as I brought up. But what have you done to protect against those? Now, some of those can be controlled, some of them can't. But let's take a partnership setting quickly. If you have a partner, in the event of a divorce or a disability, where is the revenue, where is the income, where is the assets going to come from to be able to buy out that partner's interest? So having a buy-sell plan is a good first place to start, but then it's a matter of asking yourself the question, what have you done to protect against some of those risks that you can? And all too often, insurance plays an important role in that. If we go back to the family business, that's a whole different dynamic. You have different personalities, you have different ways that certain family members may want to run the business, you have generational gaps, you have different ways of thinking. So we have seen some family businesses that have done a phenomenal job of bringing the next generation along and having a set game plan to better understand the trajectory of someone who does enter the family business. But it's important to have those roles defined and have them defined clearly so that everybody fully understands where they are in terms of their career within the family business. And then also with the family business, it's making sure that the other family members are well aware of what your anticipated retirement is or when you're going to seek an exit from the business so that those people can be groomed and brought along and there's the potential capital available to provide for your exit. Lastly, let's talk quickly about a challenge that some of the sole proprietors face, and that is that the business is 100% dependent on your ability to operate within that business. So a whole lot of other issues because there isn't a dependency on anyone other than yourself. Sole proprietors could potentially have some sort of a set legal arrangement to have a successor come in and purchase him or her out, but it usually involves making sure that you are heavily insured in areas such as a life event or a disability, to make sure that if you're no longer around, and the business likely is not going to be around if you're not, that your family and your loved ones are taken care of. So those are some of the challenges that small business owners face. All right, let's talk about some of the opportunities that business owners have that the average individual may not necessarily have. Businesses can establish certain types of employee benefit plans, specifically retirement plans, that could result in some significant contributions on a tax favorable basis. Now, what I'm referring to specifically is a 401k plan that also is done in conjunction with a profit sharing plan. Based on the current limits, there is a combined amount that you can have go into your 401k profit sharing plan, and it's dependent on whether you're over the age of 50 or under the age of 50. Those limits are $56,000 and $62,000 for the 2019 tax year. And if you look at that comparatively to someone who's a W-2 employee of a company who is capped at $19,000 under the age of 50 and $25,000 over the age of 50, it really can put you in a position to save a lot of money for retirement outside the business. So an incredible opportunity. We advocate, and we see it all too often, business owners have almost all of their net worth in an illiquid and very hard to market asset, that being the business interest. So if we can start to think about ways to reduce our exposure to the one asset class that makes up a large amount of our net worth by way of setting up a retirement plan, again, it has to be done with a third-party administrator, someone that's going to set up the plan to make sure it's not discriminatory, but the contribution limits can really allow you to sock away a lot of money over the years, so that the dependency on the business when you go to sell to support your lifestyle in retirement is not nearly as important. Business owners also have the ability to run certain expenses through the business and take advantage of it. Again, it needs to be for a business purpose, but the average individual has some expenses that they may not be able to deduct, all too often can't deduct, where the business owner can often wear multiple hats, where some expenses are personal, some are business, and some kind of fit a little bit of both. So we commonly see business owners that are able to take advantage of certain types of charitable contributions that are deemed to be sponsorship or marketing of their business, where the average individual taxpayer, specifically with respect to the most recent tax legislation, may not get that same benefit that they once did. So business owners get a lot of opportunity, but they also face a lot of risk, as we've discussed. Retirement planning and the ability to put money away into a retirement plan are some of the foremost benefits, in my opinion, of having a business. So those are some of the opportunities of being a business owner. Okay, we've talked briefly now about some of the challenges, some of the opportunities of being in business for yourself or being in business with others. Let's talk about some of the considerations as you start to think about your ultimate exit from the business. What we often look at as financial planners is the amount that you need to monetize your after-tax business interest to be able to support your lifestyle. It's often referred to in the exit planning community as the value gap. And commonly, we see that to be a pretty wide gap, because if you start to think about replacing the income that you were once deriving from your business, that amount can be pretty significant that you need in terms of a lump sum to produce that future lifestyle. It makes all the sense in the world to start thinking and planning for your exit 3 to 5 years before you start to market it and start to try and show the business to potential suitors. That 3 to 5 years is so that you have a pretty good understanding of what you're going to need to get from the business. If you find that that value gap is wide and maybe too wide, it gives you some time to think about ways that you can put money away outside of the business. We talked about retirement plans or even assets that are in non-retirement accounts, ways to get some more liquidity, whereas you have a very illiquid asset in the business. And then we also have to consider who that potential suitor is. Is it an internal transition? Is there someone in your business who is waiting in the wings? Is it a partner who is not at the same point in his or her career that may in turn buy you out? Is it a strategic buyer, someone who is a competitor who sees a way to move into your particular market and take advantage of an existing client base? Is it a financial buyer? Is it someone who's maybe in the private equity space who is looking for a portfolio company that they think they can make even more valuable over the course of the cycle of private equity? We even start to get into some of the tax considerations, and the tax considerations are substantial. Depending on how you sell your business, the taxation and the treatment of that can be substantially different, and the amounts can be staggeringly far apart. So it's at this point in time, again, we're talking about our 3 to 5 year period before we are gearing up for a sale or going to have the actual transaction, that we need to get our CPAs, our banking advisors, our financial advisors, our insurance advisors, and our legal advisors all on the same page. We often take a very active role in trying to quarterback that for you. So if you are a family business, you're an individual business owner, sole proprietor, or you're part of a partnership, there's a lot of different challenges that you face. There's equally as many opportunities to do things that you may not be aware of. And there's some considerations as you start to get to the end of your time. So thanks so much for that. We appreciate you tuning in. This is Matt on Money. We'll see you next month.